Today is January the 8th, 2025, and I wish everyone a Happy New Year. Of course, I'm sure you've already had that happen so far. But anyway, this is the Sports Pavilion Bowling Committee meeting, the first one for the year. And I'm going to call this meeting to order at 1:31. And if we could stand, if you can, and pledge allegiance to the flag with us, please. Some housekeeping here. Terry Fulkerson, are you online with us? She's not. Okay. We do have a quorum today. We have one of our members that is excused absence. So we will proceed with reading the minutes of the statement preceding this meeting. The governing board conducts all of its meetings, including committee meetings, in compliance with the Arizona open meeting laws per Arizona statutes 33-1804, and in concert with the RCSCW bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order will be followed consistent with the bylaw 3.07, procedures for owner-member meetings, and standing rules number 2 and number 3. All questions and comments are directed to the committee chairperson. All comments are entertained at the discretion of the committee chairperson. Speakers shall state their name and their member number and speak in a courteous manner. The committee chairperson may limit commentary time and the number of commentators and speakers on any issue. The committee chairperson may also redirect commentary at individual agenda items to the general guest comments agenda line item, except when the committee has discussed the agenda item and consensus or agreement is sought. All fire and room safety precautions and regulations are strictly obeyed at all meetings per the guidance of the Arizona Fire and Medical Authority. The committee chairperson reserves the right to adjourn any meeting if the safety of the committee, meeting attendees, or others is deemed at risk, or if there is too much disruption to continue. After one verbal warning by the chairperson, the committee chairperson also reserves the right to ask any meeting attendees to leave any meeting should their behavior be deemed dangerous or unacceptable, and disciplinary action may follow. We're going to go ahead and proceed to I want to present the approval for the minutes of December the 11th, 2024. And hearing no objections, they'll be submitted as written. First, we're going to have a staff report by Gary Zarek, but we're going to have a brief introduction. Is it now? No. Not yet. Thank you. Thank you. Just a little housekeeping there to get everything straightened out. So, Mr. Gary Zarek, if you will present the manager's report for item 3.01.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am looking at the December 2024 manager's report and very pleased with the activity for league games, non-league games, everything, billiard check-in, total games bowled, everything is up substantially from the year before. So the bowling center remains to be very, very busy. We just started our last bowling league for the season on January 5th. So that gives us a total of 31 leagues that are active right now. So bowling is doing very well. Financially, bowling is doing very well. And we're all excited what the future is going to hold. A tournament that we just ran the last day of December, or the day after Christmas, was called the Club 199 tournament, and it had 72 bowlers in it, and we paid out about $700-800 in prize fund, and we collected over $550 for the veterans by the pro shop donating a bowling ball, and we were given a ball to donate, and we collected $500 and some dollars and donated that to the BVL for the veterans. So it was a lot of fun. We may move the date next year because the day after Christmas, I think maybe more people would have attended if maybe it was a day or two after Christmas. So we're going to take a look at that and see. But all in all, we were very pleased with the results and the excitement of the members who bowled. Our next tournament coming up is a PTSD tournament, and that's going to be the 16th, I believe, of February. And Mr. Bob Bauer is running that, who is going to be the club chairman. And excited, the last I heard from him, he had 41 teams already, and he's looking to even get more. So he's going to run that 2 squads on the 15th of February, 16th of February. And there'll be a tremendous donation to the veterans. He has a couple different facets that get the money. I know he spends money for take the vets fishing, and then he does something else with some of the PTSD money. So that's really an exciting time for him. We also are involved in our masking unit survey right now. I don't know what the numbers are. I know it's on SurveyMonkey, and you put in a couple little slashes and you get to the masking units, and you can vote on the 2 that are the most popular, and those will be the 2 we will select when masking units are replaced. We will have those 2 designs depending on what the membership of Sun City West wants. Those are the 2 that we're going to get. So all in all, it's been really, really positive. Anybody going into the center know that I've taken all of the 300 pictures down, and we're replacing those with televisions so that we can preserve that history, because we have frankly lost some of it because all of the members who have bowled 300 physically can't make that wall, and they're so far down the lane already. If your name was up there, you couldn't see it. So we're going to get it on some fire sticks and preserve some of that history so that everybody can see it, because I think that's very important that we keep a lot of this history that's gone on in that bowling center. And I feel it's my responsibility to take care of that. So right now, that's about all I have going on in the bowling center. It is, it's running fantastic. The residents seem pleased, most of them. And, but all in all, it's been a real positive experience. Thank you.
Mr. Zarek, would you give us, go over the masking, the timeline for that again, when that's going to be done?
I believe it went out on January 5th was the first day that you could vote, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it's through January 16th. I believe it's somewhere in a close time. It's a time frame of 2 weeks. We thought that would be an ample amount of time to let the residents vote.
Thank you. Have any questions for Mr. Zarek from the committee? Do we have any questions from the audience? Do we have anyone online? No, no one online. Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your So next is going to be Mr. Swan, and he will talk about our financial review.
Thank you, Director Rhodes. Good afternoon, everyone. I can bowl a 300 if you add all 3 of my games together, I think I can sometimes hit 300. So.
The bumper lanes are.
Oh, that was with the bumper lanes. I was saying, I'm sorry. Did I not make that clear? Okay, so we're going to go through our November year-to-date results. As Mr. Zarek said earlier, the bowling alley is doing very well, the Sports Pavilion, and so we're happy to report those results. These results are through November, so the general managers report that, not general managers, the Sports Pavilion managers report were December results in terms of operations, what the lineage looked like that there. These are the November financial results. Looking at those results, so for the year through November, 36,000 favorable in revenue. That's due to increased lines of bowling, just increases kind of everywhere. I will say in the ancillary, the rental side, we didn't have a tenant and for part of the year last year, so that's the increase there is mainly due to that. But overall, 36,000 favorable on 461,000 in revenue through November. And if you remember that chart that he was showing, the next 3 months of January, February, March are our busiest months in the bowling center in terms of bowling lineage. So we have a stout budget for those 3 months, but if we keep our trends going, we should be looking pretty good. On the expense side, 23,000 unfavorable. We did spend some resources in that bowling center. I will say we plan to make those up in future months overall on the expenses when it comes to repairs and maintenance and supplies. So those deficits will go away as we move throughout the year. We just did some stuff right away. And we also picked up some of that additional revenue that we talked about earlier on in the year with some of the league money that league members didn't use. They signed up for and didn't use, and we were carrying that on the balance sheet. So that will offset any deficit as well as the year goes on. Overall, 13,000 favorable with a positive operating cash flow. Can't be said for any other facet of this recreation center that through November there's a positive cash flow. So something to pound your chest about for sure. So looking compared to last year, 97,000 favorable in revenue. That's just mainly just increased bowling, more popular bowling. Bowling has been more popular within the community and the league games and just everybody frequenting there. The enhancements that have been made in the sports, in the Lizard Acres Sports Lounge and in the billiards room has really kind of bolstered that, which is pretty awesome. So looking at that, the lineage, you can see we're 10,000 lines of bowling up in league and 10,000 in non-league bowling, which is a testament again to the enhancements that have been made there and the changes that Gary has brought into the Sports Pavilion. So if we look at the bowling lineage in terms of revenue compared to prior years, so if we look at the different types of lineage that we have, league, open, member, open guest, you'll see that 22% increase overall was 63,000 increase in bowling lineage revenue. Switching over to expenses, compared to prior year, 31,000. So of course, we had increases in wages and benefits year over year, minimum wage increase, and just overall increases that we budgeted for, but 31,000. But with that 31,000 and the 97,000 in additional revenue, we are basically flipped last year compared to this year. So at a 33,000 deficit last year versus a 33,000 positive through November. And that concludes my financial presentation.
Okay. Thank you. So let's proceed to
The
capital improvement.
Okay.
So Carl, do you want to do you have any questions? Does anyone have Have any questions for Cliff? Anyone in the audience? No one online? Okay, thank you, Cliff.
Yep.
So we're going to introduce Carl Wilhelm. He's going to make some opening comments. I want to say something about Carl. Carl is retiring, and that is probably the worst secret in the organization. He has been the absolute stalwart for our capital program, and we wish Carl well. And thank you very much, Carl, for everything that you do.
Thank you, Director Rhodes. I appreciate it. I appreciate working with you over the years, too. Now that you got me sappy. So, welcome, committee, audience. I'm here just to start off our presentation today on the fiscal year 25-26 proposed capital improvements. Gary Zarek, our Sports Pavilion manager, is going to do the high-level detail presentation today. But I just want to get the word out that this is a new program that we're doing this year and presenting our capital. It's important, a bit of a vision from our governing board president and staff to get this process a little bit more organized and the ability to narrow down and not just focus on numbers, but the relevant projects for the committees at hand. So obviously you're the Sports Pavilion Committee. Today's presentation is on Sports Pavilion Committee capital. We have done chartered clubs presentations and properties presentations on relevant items pertaining to those committees. I invite you all, though, to see the proposed capital for 25-26 at our upcoming governing board workshop this Friday and the preceding week for budget and finance. You will see the entire capital list presented at both of those meetings, and Gary will get to an opening slide in his presentation. Just gives you a reminder of what that entire budget looks like for FY2025-26. But today we're focusing on what we call repair and replacement items for FY25-26 proposed that the governing board will vote on for our annual budget. And from here, Gary, you have the floor. Okay, very good. So just to give Gary the opportunity to see how we do our yearly capital proposals, you could go to the next slide. Each year we have what we call our color block sheets. There are the tan items, which are not in your list because there's none relevant to this committee. Those are our new capital items that get proposed. So for example, in the community this year, we have clubs that have requested expansion in some of their craft rooms. Those would be done at the Properties and Charter Clubs Committee. Our color block of blue is for repair and replacement items, items that we consider are assets that are being tracked yearly and meet their useful life. And these items on this list have been determined to have met their useful life and are up for replacement. The green is the same thing. It's repair and replacement items, but items related to the golf or landscaping divisions of the rec centers. And then finally, in the pink section is our allowances. Allowances are a fund that helps us do capital projects that are unexpected or new ideas that come up that the general manager or the governing board requests to have done throughout the year. Emergencies like well pump replacement. And so again, as a reminder, if you would like to see this entire capital projects list proposed, come to the workshop or the Budget and Finance Committee for this month. Next slide. Them 4 slides for the overall capital project proposed CIP is a list that's for new capital of $190,000. Repair and replacement for the recreation departments is $2,068,000. Repair and replacement for golf and landscaping is $2,715,000, and our allowances being proposed are for $520,000. So that's what you would expect to see, slides over $50,000 at the next upcoming committees. And now it's your turn, Gary. I'll return if you have any questions.
Thank you, Carl. I miss you already. So the biggest project, and all of you are going to get an opportunity to see the bowling center when we do our tour on the 14th. So that's pretty exciting for us to be able to walk you guys around and show you what everything is and the state of condition that everything is. So the first major project is going to be the replacement of the pin setters. Our pin setters have become quite aged. They are nearly 20 years old, and they are starting to have some unnecessary maintenance repairs, but with all of the activity that goes on in the center, things do wear out, and the replacement parts are starting to get a little more difficult to find sometimes. And so it would be a welcoming situation to be able to replace these new pin setters. It would take somewhere around 3 to 4 weeks, I guess, to do them all and get them in. The next slide is the oiling machines. We have an oiling machine from 2008 and a oiling machine from 2016. One of them up is for replacement, where the other one was not. The biggest problem that I see from the experience of working in a bowling center is 2 different machines, 2 different applications, 2 different lane patterns. And for the bowlers who bowl quite often and are very serious about this, they definitely know what's called the weekend machine versus the Monday through Friday machine, correct? Correct. So the technology has increased and improved so much over time. It's like a 2008 television versus a 2020 television. There's not even a comparison. So my mindset has been, why don't we, rather than wait and replace one and just continue with this problem that's never going to go away, why don't we just buy 2, same machines, identical, state of the art, will last 15 years, maybe more, because of the maintenance group that we have. And it would just take care of that problem from now until we need to do it again. The machines are getting to where I can't find any parts on the older ones, and they frankly have done over 150,000 passes back and forth over the course of the year, back and forth on these machines and the patterns. It's quite incredible. State of an art would be something that we should really go after, and these new Kegel machines are the top of the line. So I think it's a good investment. Can we get to the next slide, please? Aha. Okay, so gutters, division capping, subway ball track, automatic bumper system, lane foul lights, and the graphics. All things that are up for replacement that have not been replaced ever that I know of in this bowling center. Frankly, the lane foul lights, we can't even find parts anymore. They're so old. The subway ball track, it's over 40 years old. So things need to be done that are just in disarray, and we're having a heck of a time trying to find the parts to maintain them. So if we're going to do something, rather than piecemeal it a little bit here, a little bit there, why don't we just do it and just get done and be done with the whole darn project? So that was my recommendations to everyone, that I think we should do this. It's bumpers, it's lane capping, it's new gutters. It's all rather old. It's over 40 years old, and replacement is obviously necessary. So timing-wise, next year around this time, provided everything works out, would be the time we would be placing the order for all of the equipment. That would give us a summer installation, the summer of 2026, rather than do anything to try to do it now and order it 3 or 4 months from now and try to get it done. We're not confident enough we would have everything installed when the fall leagues start. It could be a tremendous revenue problem for us. So being able to order in a controlled fashion, which would be next January and February, because the machines are being built in Hungary. that's where they're coming from. So a lot of this equipment is shipping from overseas. God knows what happens with tariffs and storms and longshoremen going on strike and all kinds of different situations. So to be able to control our destiny and have all of this done in the summer of 2026 is much more advantageous. Also, we're planning on not even shutting down when we're doing this, is shutting down half of the bowling center, doing that half, and then converting over and doing the other half of the bowling center. So right now, that's the plan. I would not be telling the truth if I said I'm still suspect to whether that can possibly happen or not, but that is our intention, to do everything next summer and have it all done for many, many years, so that bowling center can just stay open and it doesn't have to shut down for any type of repairs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I open this up for questions for the committee, there's there's comments that I want to make about this. If you look at the dollar value that is earmarked for bowling, it's about $1.2 million, and that's about 25% of our total. Well, actually, it's not that much. It's about probably 40% of the cost of our total R&R. But this is a lot of money, but this has been 25 to 40 years in coming, you know, and parts we can't get anymore. And the cost of this, even though it's a lot of money, the cost was done in a visionary way. We've had this on the reserve fund for quite some time. So we have the money for it. We've been putting money. We knew this expense was coming, so we've been planning for it for many years. So this isn't like this, oh my gosh, where we're going to get $1.2 million. We have the money right now. So this can be done. This is part of the preemptive. You know, we know that these parts are old. We know that we're unable to get parts for them. So the time is now. We've got the money and we can do it. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands we don't have to come up with the money. We've got the money for this. Okay. So I'd like to open any questions up to the committee or comments that you would like to make. Yes, Sherry?
I think it's hard to predict, but has there been an escalation or change in pricing of this, especially the pin setters over the last year, from the time that Laughlin put their new pin setters in, which is my understanding what we're going to look at?
I talked to Brunswick yesterday, and they thought that, yes, there will be a price increase by doing it next year. And the price continues to just increase. So there will be additional costs. It's just the way, yeah. It's just the way it is.
So having said that, as we always know, when you budget for things, you have to plan for contingencies and the unknown of cost escalations. But I think for the community to understand and to see what goes on, which we will all see when we look at the pin setters and how they operate, and the complexity of the entire operation. And when you go there and watch 30 teams bowling on any given night, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when I bowl, Thursday, the entire house is full. And when one pair of lanes goes down, we're all looking at each other like, okay, can they fix it? And there's been more than one night where we've had to watch for 20 minutes or more while they're frantically trying to fix something. So it's happening. It doesn't happen very often, but I think we all should understand as things age, it will happen more frequently. And with the revenue that this bowling center brings in, I think it's just a very prudent way to do our business.
Mr. Kleckner?
I have a couple comments to make. First, Gary, of any of these items, have they been pushed forward from previous years? Or is this,
The only one that I know that's been, that the only suggestion I've made is to move up the purchase of another oil machine.
I would like to say, because I am an avid bowler and bowl quite a bit, and to the average, this is my perception, to the average person coming into that bowling alley, I mean, obviously it looks good. And the few breakdowns that you have, you think, wow, you know, that's not that much. But the behind the scenes work that these guys do is just amazing. And they take it very personal. They're very caring and try to do a great job. And it is well worth, like Gary said, the team that he has right now, they're really good. The two oiling machines, if you go to any Vegas type tournament, that's what you'll see, is that they have two sets of machines, run from both ends of the lanes and keep it consistent and keeps it moving. It also allows for less time and more money for how you do that. This is a little pet peeve, the foul lights. Time after time, we can't use the foul lights. Well, in essence, we're not following the USBC rules because the equipment doesn't work. So that's a handicap. All in all, I think this is a extraordinary effort by Gary, a real plus for the community, and I'm really glad that we have him as our manager right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe address your request. I'm the reserve analyst, and so I have probably a pretty in-depth understanding of where items have been. When we were initially starting to get close to the gutters, or excuse me, the pin setters being removed, Barry requested a quote at that time, and that was in the spring of last year, or this year. And he was getting a quote of about $825,000. And just, I know this gets a little confusing, but it's good news in a way, is that the current cost that Gary secured, similar to what Barry did, to provide support for the upcoming approval process, had it in the 850, 860 range. And so it automatically imputes a 4% inflation onto the requested amount. So it's anticipating that a year, or even by the time the approval hits, that you will be expecting a higher price. So,
Mr. Wilhelm, did you have a?
yeah.
Any other questions from the committee? Do we have any questions from the audience? Do we have anyone online? No, thank you. Okay, there's no vote or anything for this. This is simply informational. We will be hearing more about this in subsequent meetings until this is brought to closure by the governing board. So thank you. That concludes our agenda. I'm going to open it up for comments from the committee. We'll start with you, Sherry.
I just wanted to congratulate Gary on his two recent tournaments. I participated in both. One I didn't do very well, the other one I did okay. And what I saw was enthusiasm from the bowling community. I think for the most recent tournament, you had 18 leagues represented. 18 of the 30 leagues at the time represented. That's phenomenal. And I think because a lot of people were still gone or maybe had Christmas hangover, they didn't participate. But it was fun, and I look forward to the PTSD event. Gary is extremely supportive of anything that the leagues want to do. A BASCW club is very much appreciative of everything that you know, the bowling center is prepared and ready for us on every other Saturday night. I know the Red Pin house run event is also a very good event. I think we just continue to see younger people. When you're 55, you always look pretty young when you come in here. And so it's really fun to see that younger group of people who have never bowled, people who work for Gary behind the desk. Those ladies are learning to bowl from Dennis. It's just really fun to see people. And Norm said he's going to come back to bowling. Yeah, he's going to get out of the computer room for a bit, and he's going to put the bumpers up, and he's going to go for it. So I just wanted to commend you and say you're doing a really good job, and your staff is doing a great job.
Mr. Falcone?
Question on the Lizard Acres financial. I think we missed that part of the presentation, but in October and December, you show a decline in the financials, and yet all of those months when you had the bowling alley in use and the pool billiards room in use, they showed substantial increases in attendance and lineage. And so I'm just wondering why the revenues would be down in Lizard Acres on those 2 months. Were you having renovations done in the pub at those times, or just what happened to cause the revenue decline on those two?
So are you looking at the bar charts?
Yes.
Okay. So the revenue in December in the pub was down. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. We haven't closed December yet. These are November financials. December revenue is showing in there, but we hadn't closed November. So don't pay attention to December, because December hasn't been closed yet. It's on that report because the revenue runs through the time period when we run this report.
And then what was the reason in October then? Because all
I
the
can't
other
speak
months.
to October, but I'm not sure what happened in October, but I'm just saying the revenue in December, don't pay attention to that because this is a November report.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see the report goes to November, but the bar chart does show December, but it's just because of the way the report runs.
The reason I'm asking is,
Yeah.
again, you showed substantial increases in participation throughout the pavilion. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering why the revenues from the pub would be down on the similar months.
Good question. I don't have the answer to that question. I'm just explaining the chart.
Maybe you were installing the TVs at the time. I don't know.
Well, the TVs helped. But I can tell you what happened.
Okay, thank you.
Entertainment?
Could be. I mean,
Everybody doesn't care for the groups that are in there. We bowl on Friday nights, obviously. When you see 6 and 7 or 8 or 12 people walking out of there, 7:15, 5 to 7, you know the band must not be there. So it could be the selection.
Well, it looks like you paid a lot more in October for entertainment. The entertainment cost is much higher in October.
yeah, what I will say too is we did change the acts that were going in the pub. We had bigger acts and that had group followings that weren't members of the community, and there were some lines outside, and just we decided to kind of pull that back, bring some smaller acts in, so that may have impacted the sales compared to October last year. It's right about the time we made that move last year to kind of pull things back a little bit, because it was getting a little bit I don't want to say out of control, but harder to manage, and our members were not able to use the facility because of the room capacity and things like that. So I will say we did change those acts, which could have impacted the sales year over year. So
Ms. Coker?
Well, if you're gonna pay higher price and have their followings in the Lizard Acres taking up space that the residents can't use, maybe we should start charging them a cover. Non-residents should pay a cover to go in.
yeah, that was talked about last year as well, and it really is a matter of, it's an amenity for our members, and we don't necessarily want a lot of outside people here. So we decided to just kind of change the accent we were having. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I know I've been many times with my friends and we can't get in. And that's not October, I'm talking about over the summer. There's been several times because it's so crowded that you can't get in. And I have to wonder how many folks are in there that are not residents.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had some conversations, and it is one of my concerns about how many non-residents are there and how many residents aren't able to get in there. I have no definite answers for you at this time, but I want you to know that we are looking into it to do something about that situation. I promise you, something is going to be done.
Ms. Guard?
Cliff already addressed one of my concerns because I do remember last year we were discussing maybe not having full-size bands come in. Not only are they larger, but their followers are larger, and it is an issue. So am I correct in understanding we're cutting back on that now? Perfect, perfect. Happy to hear that. I echo my colleague's sentiments on very frustrating when you as a resident can't get in. I've experienced it at the movies as well. Happy to hear that's being looked at as well. And my comment is, Gary, you are a breath of fresh air to the Sports Pavilion. Very, very happy that you are working for us, with us, and you've already made some significant changes. So, yep, that's it.
Mr. Kleckner?
I've already expressed my opinion on Gary. But I do want to mention, because in this meeting today, we talked about the billiard room, the Lizard Lounge, all the stuff going on in the bowling alley. And you can see just how much he has been involved in these past, 7 months?
6.
6 months. It was here and now it's down to here. He has done a great job. And as a member of the Sports Pavilion, as a bowler, as a resident of this area. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have any comments from the audience?
Yeah.
Any comments from online? There are none. So,
Would
Mr.
you like,
Wilhelm, do you have
since the subject of Lizard Acres, would you like an update?
thank you, we would.
So currently, as of today, in fact, we finalized our electrical load study for the facility. They're compiling those results. I'll get those in an email and distribute that to our engineers. So the architectural team then will be able to determine the most cost-effective ways of getting our upgrades to electrical for that project conversation. So I'm going to say over the next month and a half, the architectural team should be able to wrap up an official set of plans for me, and then we'll be able to go to the next steps towards county permitting, bearing there's no issues or things that would perceive that we're not in budget. Right now, I feel like we're tracking, and I did have an interested general contractor give me some ballparks, and they came in very well, so that's encouraging. So even with potentially my change in staffing, I think we'll be in good hands working with Gary, hand off to a new capital projects manager. We're tracking to sometime in the spring or summer to go along with that remodel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So at that, Mr. Wilhelm's comments were really not on the agenda, so we're going to accept those just as informational for all of us to hear, and we thank him for providing it. And since we have no other comments, it is 2:15, and this meeting, the next meeting will be February the 5th at 1:30 in this room right here. And at 2:15, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.